The entertainment capital plays host to one of the toughest sports in the world. It's the USA Sevens. And the home team, the Eagles, and their speedster, Carlin Isles, moving a little slower on day 3. Who can make the final push to the title? We'll find out next.
It's always tough getting up on day 3.
It takes a wee while to sort of iron out the aches and pains.
The body is quite beaten up, literally.
The mental aspect is probably a lot tougher to overcome than the physical.
Day 3 is a complete mindset. You're in it to win it in that semi-final stage.
Your muscles are going to be sore, you're going to be hurting, but your mind and your body goes to another level and you don't really feel the pain.
When you think you can do no more, then you got to get up and keep running.
On day 3, it's finals time, so you're not worried about anything else.
Once that whistle blows, if you're not ready for a game by then, you shouldn't really be out there.
This is what I do, this is what we love, this is what we train for.
It's part of rugby, you just go for it.
Anything I've got left in me is going to be poured out in that field.
You really got to bring out your best, digging deep.
It just comes down to determination within the last day of competition.
The last day is the most important because it comes down to elimination time.
It is about mentally staying strong and trying to stay as positive as a unit and as a team as you can be.
Welcome to Las Vegas, Nevada on a beautiful Sunday morning. This is USA Sevens from the entertainment capital of the world as we welcome you inside Sam Boyd Stadium. The powerhouse nation of New Zealand, the All Blacks, are here, and the Fijians looking very strong in the early going of this tournament. Don't count out the South Africans who have had a resurgence here in the desert. And later on today, the Americans with an all-important matchup with their neighbors to the north, Canada. Hello once again, everyone. I'm Todd Harris. We welcome you to day 3 of the USA Sevens tournament here in Las Vegas. It is said about a warrior, it's not the man who is the bravest, but it's the man who can endure fatigue who is the real warrior. Well, today we will find out who the real warriors are. After 3 grueling days of competition, it all comes down to this, and they're all trying to hoist the cup. 2 years ago, it was South Africa that was able to do it. And last year, Samoa danced their way to a title here in the desert. I'm now joined by my colleague, the former captain of the USA Sevens, Brian Hightower. Brian, you played in this tournament before. What's it like getting out of bed on day 3?
Well, Todd, it's absolutely brutal. And this morning I was in the dining room at breakfast and players just limping around. It looked like a MASH unit. But I tell you what, the teams that win on day 3 are the ones who find reasons to get back up off the ground. Well, there's all kinds of talent still on display, pushing on, and we have to kick things off with the All Blacks and Ben Lamb. This kid is absolutely explosive. Ben Lamb, product of Auckland, New Zealand, a famous rugby family, and once he starts going, he is so hard to stop. About 6'3", 235 pounds, and he has been a try-scoring machine. Nobody can tackle him. When you talk about speed, you have to talk about the Americans, Carlin Isles, and what an emotional lift he gave them yesterday. They had to get the win, and they had to get it with points, and he led them with a victory over Spain. Well, he's added a completely new dimension to this game, both offensively for the United States and defensively for other teams. How do you stop him? And here's a crucial win for the United States yesterday against Spain, as we see Nick Edwards going in for the try to seal the victory, and then a crucial conversion from Folau Niau gets the 2 points and enough points for the U.S. to slide into the Cup championship round. So the Eagles would move on into the Cup round, and their star Carlin Isles caught up with our Marty Snyder.
Well, you know, it's funny, when Carl and I were talking the other day, Carlin told me, I want to put on a show for my hometown fans. Are you happy with the show you put on so far this week?
Yes, I'm very happy with the show I put on this week. I'm excited, and I put on a pretty good one, so I'm looking forward to continuing that.
And you said it's made a difference because you're starting. Why has that made a difference for you?
Probably because I just wanted to prove myself, especially to my coaches, and I know what I can do, and I get out there and I can get in my zone and stay relaxed and just play how I play.
Now, you're a guy who's run track, you're a guy who's played football. How tough is this day 3, though, in rugby?
Oh, it's very tough, man. Your body hurts so bad, and you just need a lot of strength, and I prayed to God this morning to give me strength, man, because you're weak and you're tired, and physically you're beat up.
Best of luck today, Carlin.
Thank you.
Todd?
The Americans are coming up a little later on, but up next, the battle for the United Kingdom. Scotland taking on Wales when we return to Las Vegas and the USA Sevens. USA Sevens Vegas is brought to you by Subway, the official training restaurant of athletes everywhere. International flavor here in Las Vegas. 16 teams from around the world have traveled to Sam Boyd Stadium. And remember, this is the 5th stop of a 9-stop world tour. If you're not familiar with Rugby Sevens, well, I've got the perfect man for it, the former captain of the team. Brian, take us through it.
Yeah, the object is to score a try, cross the goal line, put downward pressure. It's 7-on-7 for 7-minute halves. Can't throw the ball forward, and it's grueling because all the other team is trying to stop you.
The folks that think this is not that difficult, 7-minute halves, I can do that. Well, you think of it this way. The field is 120 yards by 75 yards. An American football field is 100 yards by 53 yards. Factor in the fact that some of these guys are enormous, and they're all trying to take your head off during those 7 minutes.
This game requires such a high level of fitness. It's amazing.
And before we get to the action, let's check in with a third member of our broadcast team. Here's Marty Snyder.
Todd caught up with Ben Ryan, the England coach, to preview this Wales-Scotland matchup. What are your thoughts on this matchup, Coach?
Well, it's always an intense battle between two sort of cross-border rivals. Scotland have got the momentum this weekend, but Wales over the season have probably been the better side. So it will come down to a toss of a coin, one mistake or one bit of X factor from one of the team.
Why has Scotland come on, you think, as someone who observes them every week?
Well, they beat us in the group, and that gave them a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence, and they're well organised. They've played a simple game, and their defence has been outstanding. So, saying that, though, all things go out the window when you play a home nations game. So Wales will be up for this. They know that they'll get some genuine big points from the IRB series, and will probably take them above us in the table, so they'll want to win.
Well, I know that's not what you want, but let's talk about your squad. You win last week in New Zealand. You come here this week. You told me you didn't want to get skunked. You only win one match. Are you disappointed, angry? How do you feel about your squad?
Yeah, a little bit of both, really. Very, very frustrated with our last performance against France, where we just didn't execute the game plan. You know, you plan the work, then you work the plan, and we didn't do that, and we dropped to some tackles. They were tired. You know, we didn't have any subs to call upon really that had any energy left either. It's been a hard weekend.
You and I talked about this, and just theoretically saying, is it too tough of a trip for these guys, all these teams, to make the trip from New Zealand to the U.S. in a week period?
Well, the facts are that in 13 years of hosting the World Series in America, only England, as a European team, has ever hit the semi-finals or higher in 13 years. So that tells you something. You know, it's hard for European teams to go all the way around the world in once and a half. Now, we also had a 20-minute final. I'm not making excuses because we were beaten fairly and squarely today, and we were the last 2 days. But all those things, I think it makes it a lot harder for a European team. If they win a final here or get into the semi-finals, then they really have been exceptional.
Is it something the IRB should consider, putting a week between New Zealand and the U.S. tournament?
You know, if we're going to have a tournament in the South American side of things in Argentina, then it makes a great fit to have it in North and South America. But having it here at this time of year, panned with New Zealand, is very difficult. But you know, you guys put on an awesome weekend. It's got nothing to do with the venue or how you do it. It's just timing.
Well, we appreciate you being around this week and all your hospitality and hanging out with us, okay?
Thanks very much. And my tip is Samoa for the win.
All right, there you go. Samoa for the win. Brian, I know you and I have talked about this. Is it too tough? New Zealand, U.S. back-to-back weekends.
Yeah, it's just grueling for these bodies, and you can see it by how many players are not even available for their teams today.
There you see the schedule of the 2012-13 HSBC Sevens Worlds. We talked about it's a 9-stop tour. We're only at number 5, and it's been very difficult as to kick things off in Australia, then Dubai, obviously to South Africa, then New Zealand. Here we are, and then they've got to move on to Hong Kong, Tokyo, Glasgow, and then London. We'll be back with more of the USA Sevens, the final day of competition, Scotland versus Wales, when we return to Sam Boyd Stadium. Gemmel, Stevie Gemmel. The pains of day 3 as we kick things off here with the plate semifinal. Scotland taking on Wales from Sam Boyd Stadium. So a full day of matches, evening matches on Friday. Yesterday was a more than full day, and here they go at it again one more time. Remember, a lot of these nations either tonight on a red eye or tomorrow morning will get on and make a very long flight back home.
Yeah, it's a tough tour, and these guys will be happy for a few weeks off after this. Scotland's best player, Colin Gregor, not available after a pool round injury to his head.
Scotland has played very well this tournament, but a turnover here.
I talked to the Scotland coach yesterday about number 2, Michael Fideau. He said he wasn't sure if he'd even be available today, but he's made the starting lineup. On day 3, Todd, it's not about who's hurt and who's not, because everybody's hurt. It's really a matter of who can actually take the field.
Turnover now right in the area where for the try, and it's Scotland back in business. We watched some earlier matches today, and you can see the fatigue in the legs. The tackling just isn't quite there. The passing not nearly as crisp. And really, does anyone have breakaway speed on day 3?
Yeah, it's really tough. It's a narrower field anyway, so you're not going to see that many breaks around the corner. Scotland and Wales both play a similar game. Not very flashy, just do the basics right. Try to overwhelm you in the contact area, suck in some defenders, and try to find gaps in the field.
Wales in the red, Scotland in the blue. We got ourselves a run. Andrew Turnbull with some open field, but a nice job of defense coming in as Scotland tries to maintain as they set up here out of the ruck. Scott Riddell cutting it back to the inside, and the first try will come for Scotland. So with 5 minutes to play here in the first half, it's Scotland that draws first blood.
Take a look here. Scott Riddell just finds a little space, and it's hard to get your body into the tackle area on day 3. You're tired, your legs don't move as well, your feet don't move as well, and Riddell just takes advantage of that.
2-point conversion is good. You talk about the best player for Scotland, Colin Gregor, number 5. Here's the injury that happened.
Yeah, Gregor goes down and just gets a huge knock to the head there from the forearm of Setefano Thakau from Fiji. It would result in Gregor being sidelined for the remainder of the tournament, but Thakau was also sidelined because the disciplinary committee ruled that was dangerous play. He got a 4-game suspension.
And for more on Scotland, we check in with Marty.
Well, I talked to Stephen Gemmel, their coach, and asked him about being without Colin Gregor, and he said, yeah, it certainly hurts us, but he agrees with what Ben Ryan said a moment ago. Beating England gave us all the confidence in the world. In fact, he said, I think this is the most confident our guys have been all year long, Todd.
No question about it. They looked very good against England, and you think about what England was able to do a week ago down in New Zealand, and then they come here, Brian, and just didn't show.
Yeah, it's still unbelievable. A lot of people scratching their heads, can't believe that England just mailed it in when they got here. But Scotland, as we just took a look at Colin Gregor, Scotland took Samoa down to the wire in the Cup quarterfinal last night, and that's a tough task. Samoa, just a brutal team, very physical, and Scotland hung with them, but just couldn't find their way to the goal line at the end of the match, and Samoa hung on. There's Colin Gregor. Kind of an extra coach for Scotland, really. So much experience, and he's kept his body in pretty good shape despite the length of his career.
31 years of age is Colin Gregor. That injury coming on Friday night, so he has been under doctor's care and observation, and they have ruled it's not a good idea to put him back in. So hopefully we'll see him in a couple weeks in Hong Kong.
The International Rugby Board's doing a really good job of prioritizing the health and welfare of the players on tour, and there's a very stringent concussion protocol that goes with every head injury that players have to pass. We look at Scott Riddell on the ground. He's very upset. Looks like he's hurt his leg. The play will continue. 2 players down on the field.
So even strength, 6 each. Scott Riddell, as you said, grabbing his left ankle. But as long as the players aren't impeding with the play, it goes on.
Riddell in a lot of pain, and it looks like Rhys Jones, the number 2 for Wales, is also on the ground. Slowly gets up. Now Scotland has to play a man down. They can't get this man off the field while he's injured until there's a stoppage in play, as we see Richie Pugh continue, the wily veteran for Wales. He was there in the 2009 World Cup victory. One of 2 players on the Welsh team. And great take there by Struan Dewar. Grabs the ball off the ground, and Scotland prevents a Welsh try.
Wales trying to chip it on the kick. Only way you really goes forward. Passes obviously have to be backwards.
Well, you took a look at Scott Riddell there. He's not full speed. But the game has to stop until you can get a player off the field.
And Riddell doing a great job.
He's in a lot of pain. Well, he still holds on to give that pass away. Michael Fideau, I mentioned him earlier, gets rid of the ball. Healthy enough to play.
Scott Riddell saying, just take it all the way, lad. Don't come back to me again, and will be another try. James Johnstone now working it for Scotland. Well, let's go back and look at this one more time, because Riddell is in a lot of pain.
Oh yeah, it's just a twisting injury. You see his left leg caught under the body there of Richie Pugh. Just an accidental injury there, nothing malicious about it, but that's what happens when you get bodies on bodies flopping around on the field there. Take a look at James Johnstone, who exploits the space. And I tell you, the field may be a little bit narrower, Todd, but on day 3 of this tournament, the space starts to open up because nobody can fill it anymore.
120 yards by 75 yards. And just to give you an idea, an American football field, 100 yards by 53 yards. So you're looking at another 22 yards in width. Now this field is a little narrow, as Brian pointed out, because it's built for American football, but it doesn't seem to, they aren't noticing those extra yards here on day 3.
They're probably, on day 3, you're probably grateful that those yards aren't there. The whole crew at USA Sevens has done a great job. They bring in grass, they lay it over this turf field, and get this facility in great shape for this tournament.
Now, despite the fact the clock has gone to zeros, as long as Scotland maintains possession, they will play on.
Andrew Turnbull with the ball, great pass in contact.
Boy, the Scots playing inspired rugby. Nice cutback.
Last week in Wellington was their first trip ever to the Cup round, and this is their second. Another good try, and Scotland really pouring it on Wales right now.
Valuable points coming at the end of the first half as they push it 19-0 over their neighbors, Wales, to the south. Look at this. Step aside.
Good footwork here. And in comes Turnbull, scoop that ball. Michael Weir lets it go.
Here comes the 2-point conversion. Now this comes straight out from where the try was made across the try line, so this is a little trickier. And Russell Ware with a little English on the ball. Playing the win, so 2 more points, and it's Scotland on top of Wales, 21-0. We'll be back to Vegas for the second half. You're watching USA Sevens.
in a line-out. The ball must travel 5 meters. It must go straight in the middle, and teams are allowed to lift to contest for the line-out. Ready. Number Jamo.
And our thanks to the team from Kenya giving us the demonstration of what a line-out consists of as we get set for the second half. 7 minutes of play, 21-0, Scotland all over Wales. The battle for the UK continues, and hits like that. You know, of the teams we've seen this morning here on day 3, I have to say Scotland looks the freshest.
And a lot of that has to do with the amount of opposition they're getting from Wales. But yeah, it's inspired play, and I think, you know, what I said earlier in the show, Todd, is you got to find reasons to get up off the ground, and for Scotland, it's a matter of pride.
Great action here, and they head down to the touchline. With that, we'll check in with Marty on the field.
Well, I just talked to Wales coach Paul John. He said their tackling was, quote, embarrassing in the first half. He said, we're just not matching their intensity. He told his guys, you've got 7 minutes to get back in this thing. There's still plenty of time. Don't give up.
No question about it. We've seen some great comebacks in this one. The USA has come back multiple times, being down 2 tries or more. So on the line out, it's Wales down 21-0 as we go under 6 minutes to play in this one.
5 minutes is plenty to score 3 tries, but Wales just continues to give the ball away to Scotland.
Nice run.
Great run.
Oh, beautiful pass. Andrew Turnbull, the right place at the right time.
Looked like Mark Robertson off the ground there. It's such a wise move. Andrew Turnbull has become kind of the old man on tour. He's still got plenty of gas left. He just runs a great line, recognizes that Robertson's not held in the tackle. He can still throw the ball from the ground until another Welsh body arrives, and he does, right to a speeding Andrew Turnbull.
So with the try taking place squarely behind the pipes, comes out 5 meters, and 2 more points. Andrew Turnbull, the 30-year-old. Look at this. Boom. Fans from all 16 nations making their way here to Las Vegas on what has been a little bit of a chilly weekend. We've had games in this tournament where temperatures have been closer to the 70s and 80s, and this weekend it's been more like 50s and 60s.
Well, I'll tell you that the players are grateful for it. On the field, 50s and 60s is a lot better than 90s.
Alex Weber trying to get the chip on. And great recovery, and that's what you're talking about. On day 3, a lot of guys just don't want to get back on defense, and right there, Weber found out just how prideful the Scots are playing today.
Exactly. Michael Weir comes in for Scotland, chases the ball down.
As we approach 4 minutes to play, remember it's 7-minute halves. Clock continues to run, and Wales finally answers with a try of their own. So 5 points on the board for the Welsh, 28-5 with the conversion coming. Brian, we've talked about the 16 nations that have been here. Every nation, as we look at this try for Wales, has their own style of play. Describe the way the teams from the UK, England, Wales, and Scotland have been playing.
Well, they're happy to move the ball around a lot in the past, and but they don't exactly have the type of runner that the Islanders have. The really big guys with the long strides who can hold their bodies up well in contact and try to find people on the fringes.
And we'll see some of those Islander teams as Fiji, the Fijians out there practicing prototypical Rugby 7 players. Fast, big, and strong. Samoa has looked good. New Zealand looks terrific. We will have Fiji and New Zealand coming up next here on the NBC Sports Network. As soon as this one is completed, we are under now 3 minutes to play with Scotland clearly out in front, 28-7.
Referees called a maul, and a maul is when you take the ball into contact, but you can't get the ball down to the ground. It's held up by the opposite team. If you bring it in, it's called use it or lose it. And the Welsh brought the ball in, the Scottish held them up. Because the Wales team couldn't use the ball, Scotland scrum.
Crouch. Touch. Sit.
opportunity now for Wales. Will Thomas. Defense to offense. 5 more for Wales.
Thomas' second try in a minute.
Just 19 years of age, and the conversion is up and good, so 14 points on the board.
Just a missed pass there from Turnbull on the restart scrum, and enterprising Will Thomas, player out of Swansea in Wales. As Todd mentioned, just 19 years old.
Now, as long as the ball travels 10 meters, it is a free ball. This time it takes a fortuitous bounce to Scotland. And it'll be interesting to see if they go on the heavy attack or if they try to slow it down just a little bit. Almost a knock-on.
Great concentration there by Screw and Dewar.
Well, Wales answers with 2 quick tries, 14 points, and just like that, Scotland comes back with 5 more of their own.
Take a look at this pop pass again. Russell Weir to the ground, and just a speeding, incisive run by Screw and Dewar. All the ball has to do is travel backwards from the player who's passing it. Russell Weir has a moment to play the ball off the ground there, and he does by passing it to Screw and Dewar. Scotland playing some great rugby.
35-14, the clock now under 50 seconds. Remember, it is a running clock other than injuries. When the referee deems it is not safe for the player who's injured down on the pitch, he'll stop time. But for the most part, it is running 7 minutes, and running being the operative word in this game. Talked to a lot of athletes who have come over from track and field and football and even basketball, and they say the one thing that sticks out of their mind is the constant running.
Yeah, you'd think it would be the contact and the tackling and the physicality of this game, but what people remember most is how tough it is to run around on this field. You know, people say 7 minutes, 7 minutes isn't that long. Well, put your running shoes on and get out there on the street and try sprinting around for 7 minutes and see how you feel, and then you'll get a good idea of what these players go through game in and game out.
I think you gave a great explanation one time to someone of it's basically 7-on-7 full court basketball with a field that is 120 yards by 75 yards for 7 minutes all out.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
So the clock is at 0. And Scotland will just kick it out of bounds, and that will bring the game to a conclusion. Scotland with an impressive performance taking on Wales, and it's all Scots, 35-14. And we've got a great matchup still to come when we return to Las Vegas as New Zealand and Fiji get together as we go inside the Fijian locker room. And the Fijians, they have a style all their own when it comes to playing rugby.
Fiji is always a tough game. They're a very physical team.
It's as if they know where each other's coming from, and sometimes when you play Fiji, you feel like you're playing against 10, 15 guys.
Every single one of them's a playmaker.
And they live this sport, from the day they're born. So when they get out there, it's kind of like you and me walking around breathing air.
They got very talented players, physical players, a lot of speed, a lot of pace, phenomenal ball skills.
When they're running and doing the very best of their game, it's a beautiful thing to watch.
New Zealand and the All Blacks have a huge tradition, and I'm sure everybody would echo my words that they're the team that everybody wants to beat.
And if you're not experienced and you don't understand how they play the game, they can really put you to bed early.
They're consistently at the top, they're consistently winning games, and that's the difference, between them and everyone else.
They do the basics very well. They're tough competitors. You always know you've been in a battle with them, and if you beat New Zealand, you're generally on your way to having a successful day.
And here they come, Fiji and the All Blacks of New Zealand. the defending HSBC World Series champions, the All Blacks. And their coach is now standing by with our Marty Snyder.
Gordon Titchens, how about your team and playing a team like Fiji? What problems do they present?
Oh, lots of problems. They love this. It's their game, you know. It's going to be tough for us. We know that. They always bar up for us. So it's about dominating the ball, and generally we'd love to score first. That also gives us an advantage, but you just don't know. She's pretty tough out there, and it will be about possession.
After a disappointing week last week, are you guys playing more inspired this week, Coach?
Yeah, we've had a few injuries, a few setbacks, but the guys have put them behind them, and the young guys are stepping up, and this is going to be a real test for us.
You mentioned those injuries, playing without their captain too, DJ Forbes. Todd?
All right, thank you very much. This will be a very interesting match. Brian Hightower, we just saw Wales and Scotland and their style. How does it differ? You talk about the South, the Islanders. Here it is on full display. What will we see different than we just saw in Scotland and Wales?
Well, Fiji is so creative, and they feel so free when they play. They don't necessarily fit into a pattern. They create on the fly, and every player on that field for Fiji can be what we call the playmaker. They can create things. Titchens mentioned whoever scores first is going to have a huge advantage, and that is so true. This group has gotten together 69 times on the tour, and Fiji has beaten New Zealand 30 of those times. If ever there was an opponent for New Zealand that wasn't a sure thing, it's Fiji.
They have looked so powerful throughout the first 2 days of this tournament. We'll see how they respond. A lot of the talk has been, how do you respond on day 3 when the body is just aching? Well, the Fijians continue to roll out stellar athletes, incredible playmaking, and a lot of people talk about their style of play. Harlem Globetrotter-esque, the way they can create on the fly.
Yeah, for those of you just tuning in, if you haven't seen Fiji before, just keep an eye on their feet.
Oh,
and the shoulders. What a great hit. That was Eli Tanai. Knock on by New Zealand. Watch Tanai, number 7, fly into your screen and just take out Tomasi Thama. Famous Fijian father, Tomasi Thama Sr., played for Fiji. Number 6 for New Zealand, Tomasi Thama plays for New Zealand. Still has very close ties to his family back in Fiji.
All right, here we go, our first scrum of the match, and we'll listen in.
Touch. Sit. Right.
7-minute halves. So far, no score. Neither team able to crack the defense. And here we go, a break on the outside as a chip on. And it looked like Nyangi was trying to get a little creative, and ball turns over to the All Blacks.
Yeah. Ben Lamb tackles the Fijian Nyangi, but New Zealand is able to get the ball.
You talk about the All Blacks, it seems like every year they're good, and their level of good is different than everyone else's, but they are down a little bit this year. This is a younger squad.
And Tim Mickelson, he may be one of the older guys on the squad, but he's still got tons of speed.
Look at this, number 5 from New Zealand. This is a replacement with Warwick Lamert.
Yeah, Lamert came in for an injured Lote Raikambula, a roofer by trade, but he's playing some pretty good rugby for New Zealand, number 5. Fama looking for space. Watch the feet.
Big 12, Ben Lamb draws the defender in, one man to beat. They kick it back to the inside. A nice piece of recovery defense by the Fijians. We got a knock on?
No, New Zealand was offsides. That's Ben Lamb. Wow. That looked like it was going to be an automatic score. It looked like Mickelson, he throws the ball inside. Looks like he could have taken it to the corner and gotten the try. Instead, he throws it to Luke Masarewa, number 1. And the Fiji defense holds. Watch this play. Here's Ben Lamb. He gives it to Mickelson. It looks like Mickelson, I'm telling you, the old Mickelson would have pinned his ears back and gone for the corner. Instead, he dishes to Luke Masarewa.
So our first line out of the match. Lamert comes in, and it's a knock on.
Federico Anselme, Argentinian referee here, and it's a high-pressure game when you play these two. And there's Mickelson, just a little swerve, wrong foot's the defense.
26-year-old Tim Mickelson puts it in for the first try of the match, and the All Blacks are on top by 5.
Thama just a waggle with the ball. Joji Rangamate, the sweeper for Fiji. It's a really difficult tackle.
Well, Mickelson's not a small guy either. I think Rangamate thought, how am I get him to the ground? He's got a full head of steam. So the conversion comes straight away from where the try was put down, and Thama puts it through for 2 more points.
You take a look at this game, you know, a lot of people compare the contact to American football. We talk about open field tackles in American football all the time. In rugby, that's all there are, is open field tackles, and you have to be such a strong, good tackler. Your form has to be spot on. You have to have great balance and footwork. As we see Thama getting ready to start it off again.
Free ball after 10 meters.
So a new law in the game is if the ball is knocked forward off a player's hand and goes into touch, the team that didn't knock the ball on has the option of either a scrum or a line out. The Fijians are pretty tall. It's hard to throw over them in the line out, so that's why New Zealand is opting for the scrum. Big Ben Lamb out of Auckland.
Oh my.
Oh, he's got speed.
And he's got Thama on the right. And another try for the All Blacks. This is all set up by the speed of Ben Lamb.
6'3", 235. But plenty of wheels, and Tomasi Thama, he's inspired. You know, when he plays against Fiji, he adds a little extra something to his game and should be able to convert this try pretty easily. Tomasi Thama, the second all-time points leader in World Series history. He's got over 1,800 points. To put that in perspective, Tomasi Thama has more points than Spain does all time.
The 32-year-old lets the defense get drawn in and is there for the try, plus the 2-point conversion, so now it's New Zealand on top 14-0. All right, what are you seeing out of Fiji that they're doing different that we didn't see in the previous 2 days?
Well, Fiji is a little bit decimated. They've got 2 players that aren't even available. The 7 that are on the field right now have had to play a lot of extra minutes. And frankly, this Fijian team is not necessarily as stacked with talent as some Fijian teams that we've seen in the past.
Nyagi trying to break free, number 10. And now the Fijians have numbers on the outside. 3-on-1 break.
Referee says the ball went backwards. New Zealand can still play on.
And they will kick it out of bounds, and that will bring the first half of play to a conclusion. It is all Blacks. Head coach Gordon Titchens and his squad lead the powerful Fijians 14-0. We'll have the second half after this.